Hello friends, hope you are well. Welcome to the review of the G815. This is the clicky version, as you can hear. And I'll have a bit of a video about me actually typing on this. But this is an extremely clicky keyboard, so if you don't like clicky, you might not like this one. However, this is the best typing experience I've used in a long time. So let's get into the review about this very sexy keyboard from Logitech. First of all, it is very thin. This is incredibly thin. I honestly don't know how they did it. Obviously, they've got some new switches that have made this a very thin keyboard. There's also a lot of technology that goes into it, but let's talk about that in a second. They also have aluminium on there. This is one of the best looking keyboards because it is metal and it is thin and it's got these really cool keycaps that are sticking out, but they're also thin. It almost feels like a premium laptop keyboard. To note though, even though it is small and thin, it is actually particularly heavy. This is not a light keyboard, and when I first picked it up, I was so surprised. It is very tightly packed in this. Now, every one of these buttons, except the rubber buttons which control your media, are actually clicky. These are not, obviously, they're just little rubber ones. And there is something that I've missed for so long, and I've said that my favorite keyboards have a little wheel for the sound. This is one of the best ways to adjust your sound. Why would I need to press up, down, when you can have a simple roller wheel here? And this one is smooth, it's really nice, and even though this is the first keyboard in over 5 years that I've had to daily drive with this, my hand automatically goes to it. I remembered it instantly. It is very familiar to use. It also has a mute button in the media area here, a pause and next, and so on. On this side, we have the ability to flick through 3 sets of macros for these extra buttons at the side. Now, I'm not much of a macro person. This whole keyboard looks super stylish, and adding those 4 buttons at the end is actually a mistake in my fair opinion. Because first of all, I'm very much used to putting my left hand on the edge of the keyboard to be able to go Control C, Control V, Alt Tab. But because of these extra keys, I'm constantly pressing them. I've had to disable them because they were set up to refresh, I think. So all my pages were continually refreshing every time I went to use the control button. And that was a bit frustrating. I have not used these buttons as macros as of yet, and this might not work for a lot of people, but it might also mean that people who are used to having those macros on the side, they might be quite happy to have those. I would wish that cut that off, make it a little bit shorter. The whole keyboard is quite long because it also has a number pad, which I love, by the way. I love having that, but I haven't used it in a lot. I did say this in a review a little while back of the Logitech the less keyless one without that numpad on there, and to be honest, the amount of numbers I put in is still doable on the top row and not much so on here. So I'm not really using it. I'm happy it's there, but it does make the keyboard long. I'd love to see a keyboard without the numpad, without the macro, in this style with the little roller ball there. I think that would be absolutely fantastic for gamers. So I mentioned about the typing experience, and I'll leave that to last because that has been absolutely fantastic. I might have little to say in the negatives, but I want to talk about the gaming experience of this keyboard. Friends, just buy it. Holy crap, it's really, really good. It's very, very tactile, it's very responsive, and it feels very natural playing on this any type of game. Now, the games that I play are first-person shooters, so a lot of WSAD, a lot of spacebar, a lot of E, a lot of Q, R, reload. So all those buttons there, when they rest my hand on them, they feel very natural, and the clickiness feels a lot sharper than the long travel time that you get with other keyboards. This has a much smaller travel time than many other keyboards, and it feels very, very responsive, and I'm very impressed with that. And obviously a Logitech product also comes with some software that can help you maintain this. This is fully RGB, 16.4 million colors. It also uses 5600 aluminium. I'm not sure really what that means. I don't know if people care. Maybe it's a marketing thing, but man, the aluminium is strong. There is no flex in this, especially when the feet can go up to 2 levels. When you do put your hands down and you do type away, you've got no flex in the center, which is impressive, but also adds to the weight of the keyboard. Now, in regards to the switches, you can get a version that doesn't do as clicky ones. There's G linear and G tactile. I would suggest if you don't like the noise, then the linear one will be good for you, and also the tactile one has a little bit of a bump but less of a click. I think for me, I would probably appreciate the tactile one, but the clicky hasn't bothered me enough to actually complain about it to myself and sort of say, hey, I don't want to use it. It did get a little bit to get used to. It was quite loud at first. Nowadays, I don't hear it. And actually, when I'm typing away, it kind of feels really cool when you can hear the and it feels like I'm actually achieving some words. So sometimes it's a bit of a, look at me, I can click away and I make loud noises. Now, I don't use this in the office. I'm sure it would be really annoying at the office. I use it at home and nobody's complained so far. The dog doesn't really care. A couple of extra helpful features is the fact that there is a USB pass-through, which is great if you need to connect maybe a wireless mouse dongle. It is a straight pass-through. It won't go through the same cable, so you won't lose bandwidth on that cable. It is 2 cables that you have to plug in to the computer. So if you have a lot of things plugged into the back of your computer, like me, for example, you might have a hard time plugging in both. But just remember that you can at least get that extra one closer to your keyboard, especially if you're plugging in USBs all the time to the computer and taking it out. If you have hard access to that computer, it's much easier to have it from here. This aluminium design is my favorite so far out of Logitech. Hands down, everything else they've done in the plastics does not compare to this style. The main thing that you might notice is the way the keys are put on. The caps are very short, and that's probably a little bit weird when you first start using it, but soon you'll find that even if they're a little bit wobbly, when you start typing away, you don't notice it at all, because there's less plastic on it on the sides. It's not really inside a bit of a gap, so you could potentially, I don't know, not that you'll be walking around with it, but if you grab the side of it, you might pull it off. So be careful with that. It is supposed to stay on your desk and stay at home and not in the office. Finally, before we talk about price, I want to talk about one little issue that I had: software. So Logitech has released 2 types of software. There's this gaming Logitech one, and then there's the standard Logitech G1, the G Hub, I think it's called. It's hard to understand which one's supposed to be used, but just know that if you have this keyboard, if you're planning on getting this one, you have to use the G Hub. It is a little bit less intuitive than the previous one. It's hard to get to certain settings, and I was actually a little bit disappointed that I had to use that because the old software did not recognize this keyboard at all, which meant, well, tough luck, use the new one if you want to control the lights and all the macros. So do note that the new software, while it's still growing, it's not as good as the last one, in my humble opinion. All right, let's talk about price. 299 Australian dollars from Logitech. You might find it cheaper elsewhere. It is particularly expensive, but it is mechanical. So in the range of mechanical keyboards, I know you can get a little bit cheaper ones, but it also is a premium one. It is also very thin, and it has got full RGB. So you gotta look at those things when you're comparing it to other keyboards. So keyboards without extra keys, you gotta account for that. At $299, I think the style and the fact that it's a gaming keyboard because it's got mechanical switches and they're clicky and they're very responsive, it's a 1000 Hz response rate, it is actually worthwhile for gamers. If you're a typist and all you do is typing, I think, and maybe play a little bit of games, I think it's still very much worthwhile for you. I would say that if I was to go out and buy a whole new keyboard and I got to try this at the shop, this would be in my top 3 keyboards to buy. And if there was a little bit of a discount, I would buy it straight away. I'm gonna have to leave it at that. It's just this sort of point where it's like, oh, at 250, 200, I think this would have sold out immediately. I think at 300, you start to compare it to $300 other premium keyboards from other brands like Corsair. It's hard to justify it. But if you're looking for a stylish keyboard that you can use at the office without it looking too crazy, too gamery, this is the best one you can get from Logitech right now, and it is damn good. Friends, thank you very much for watching. Thank you very much for Logitech for sending me this keyboard for review. I was really excited to hear about it and review it. I know it's been out for a while, but finally got my hands on it. And of course, if you like this video, give it a like. If you want to see more content like this, Australian-centric, then please consider subscribing. Thank you very much for watching, folks, and I'll catch you guys in another one. Bye!